Hello, and welcome back to this presentation titled Freedom's Cause. This is part 2 of Vignette number 15, titled Total Inclusion. In the first portion of this vignette, you were shown how a new party and a new religion would come into being, in large part due to the strident support of people who are devoted this day under the lifestyle of the doctrine of total inclusion. That the new party will take on the job of enforcing a national doctrine of happiness, while the new religion will establish a national doctrine in regard to people's ability to access life and liberty, how each would operate by means of its own tax stream. To properly understand what this signifies, it is needful to return to vignette number 3, wherein you are shown the doctrine of freedom of the state is female in gender. The doctrine of happiness of the church is male in gender. Now you cannot change the fact that the doctrine of the state of freedom is female in gender, or that of the church of happiness is male in gender. Thus, when you assign to each the doctrine of the other, this amounts to women taking on the sexual identity of men taking on the sexual identity of women. A reversal of sexual identity carried out by those who classify themselves as transvestites or have operations whereby they change their gender. In regards to this new religion and new party, as noted, each is broken into two distinct segments. Under the doctrine of total inclusion, the new party's first duty is to enforce those laws that apply to the addiction culture. Its second duty is to enforce those that apply to upholding all in whatsoever sexual identity they desire to be licensed under. In like manner as communism, this breaks the new party into two separate and thus competing camps. For by the rhetoric of doing whatsoever is necessary, by whatsoever means are necessary, the reasoning voice of the general populace is rendered mute. That voice which calls for events to transpire over a timely period by the appropriate means. For such will balk the line of reasoning that states progress must always transpire as quickly as possible by whatsoever means are necessary. Thus, all within the new party that actually believe in serving the people will be forced out into the ranks of unwarranted political dissident opposition, transpiring under the guise they refuse to enact the requisite laws of security by which all are upheld in their security, allowing those who establish themselves as the leaders of the new party to manifest their authority by means of this singular political belief, that in order to protect the ongoing security and well-being of the general populace, no doctrine is authorized save the party act as quickly as possible by whatsoever means are necessary. By means of this closed political doctrine, nepotism will flourish, thereby bringing into being the two distinct secret societies, each of which functions via wife swapping, the former functioning under the heading of the addiction culture, while the latter functions under the heading of the sexual culture, as via these the party gains control of the nation's people, allowing those who function via bisexual relationships to then gain control of the party's members and thereby the nation's people. Yet this system does differ to a marked degree from communism, as it does not function under the heading of atheism. For under the doctrine of total inclusion, the environmental movement is the new religion all must adhere unto. In regards to this new religion, although all must adhere unto its doctrine, like all religions, those who qualify as its priests and priestesses will be strictly controlled. For like the new party, the doctrine of the new religion is based upon guarantees of security. Only instead of guaranteeing the security of the people, they will teach that in order to guarantee the ongoing security of the planet, progress must transpire as quickly as possible by whatsoever means are necessary. It is also to be noted, the new religion will be the only religion that still functions via this principle of separation of church and state. For although it is licensed by the state, people will be told it must remain a separate and distinct entity from the new party, as only thereby can it remain free of undue political influences, as it seeks to fulfill its responsibility of protecting Mother Earth. These responsibilities being to govern the affairs of the nation's people in their standing as workers and citizens by enforcing the laws of the faith, thereby allowing the new religion, by these ecological laws, to unduly restrict people's access to life and to liberty. But this need to control people's access to life and liberty will lead to the new religion also being composed of two competing segments, both of which will function via means of nepotism, meaning both will also function via means of wife swapping, which again means for these two competing groups to work together in a coherent manner, the lie will have to bind them together by those who function by means of bisexual relationships. Before we proceed any further, why will these systems work where communism failed? The answers are simple enough. Under the doctrine of total inclusion, the illusion that free enterprise and freedom of speech are alive and well is maintained. Yet due to the vast profits being siphoned off from all businesses, the additional personal taxes being levied, people's standard of living will drop. Therefore, society will take on a far more drab appearance. But people will be told the cost of healing the planet and maintaining it in a healthy state is to accept the need to live this drab lifestyle. For unlike communism, where people sacrificed out of the belief they were creating a better future for their children and grandchildren, thus when this better world did not transpire and people found themselves trapped in a drab lifestyle, the religion of communism fell into disrepute, as even the taskmasters who were charged with keeping the general populace in line lost faith. But so long as people are convinced they must remain But so long as people are convinced they must remain devout adherers unto the new religion, like all true believers, they will exercise their faith by willingly making ongoing sacrifices, that of giving up the colorful lifestyle they presently enjoy for a drab one. By said means, their ongoing loyalty will remain fixed in place, a loyalty they will pass on to their children. For people will be told the ecological damage to the planet will take several hundreds of years to properly resolve. They will be sustained in this faith by being shown how the world is slowly starting to heal. But these glimmers of hope will be cautionary, for they will also be shown why so much more must yet be achieved. As for the taskmasters, due to their being addicts, they will refuse to adhere unto this new religion. They will want to prosper via receiving a constant flow of that mammon they are addicted to, as via it they easily and quickly escape the drab lifestyle that is unfolding around them. Thus, so long as they are given ongoing access to said products, their loyalty also remains fixed in place, allowing them to watch over their fellow citizens and strictly enforce all laws put forth by the new party and new religion as the only authorized voices within the nation. But what if anyone can, by means of said products, escape a drab life? What if anyone, by means of the sexual identity of their choice, can escape by the philosophy of eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die? Sadly, this day many already prescribe to this, the doctrine of total inclusion. But the tomorrow the lie looks to impose will make said doctrine the only easily accessed means by which all can escape this drab life. In so doing, it will undermine to an ever-growing and ever-broadening degree the capacity for any to adhere unto the dictates of their conscience, do so by doing more and yet more damage to the traditional family unit. By said means, an ongoing supply of addicts are supplied, while non-addicts are bound thrice over to the doctrine of total inclusion. Firstly, by the security offered to all by a means of the new party. Secondly, through the unending vital need to save the planet by the doctrine espoused by the new religion. Thirdly, the lie providing an easy means by which all can escape their drab life, thereby establishing the doctrine of total inclusion as a viable means by which those problems that led to the collapse of communism are resolved. For while the general populace works away generating wealth, the ruling oligarchy will enjoy a life of luxury, as they will leisurely frolic in the newly established environmental sanctuaries that are off limits to the general populace. Yes, absolutely viable, save for one problem. You have two power bases, the new party and the new religion. So the question is, by what means can the lie get these two distinct power bases to work together as one? For this too is the philosophy of the lie. If you are not one, you are not mine. The lie will accomplish this by means of a third and dominant secret society, one whose members are not drawn from the new party or new religion. For it is to be noted, these secret societies have yet to come into existence. But this third secret society does exist, as it is headed by those that, step by step, are undermining the capacity for democracy to this day survive in America, the organized crime syndicates. For these are they that already present the means by which Americans can escape the drab affairs of this world, do so by means of the sexual and addiction cultures, so thereby all can live the philosophy of eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Thus, these are they that line upon line and precept by precept have aggravated the hungers that abide within all, that cause Americans to license themselves in their ability to feed these aggravated hungers by step, making that which is wrong right and that which is right wrong. I have heard many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints state, the reason for this growth in immoral conduct is due to so many no longer believing in the values and laws associated with the Bible. What these members do not comprehend is this meant those laws that once forbid same-gender marriages, etc., were based upon religious beliefs. Thus, while said laws were based upon the truth, they function void of explaining said truths in the language of freedom, in that they never explained in a clear and distinct manner how said laws upheld all in their inalienable rights. In sustaining said laws, we not only showed our ignorance on how the law is meant to function, we also showed our arrogance, as via seeking to use faith in order to establish the authenticity of a civic law, rather than evidence to establish said authenticity, we looked to gain the benefits of just laws, void of said laws being based upon justice. Thus, when laws were created based upon the latter, as citizens, Americans sought to uphold a legal truth via unlawful means. So when people's Christian faith wavered, the lie had little problem overturning these faith-derived laws, as none explain in a detailed and explicit manner how the sexual and addiction cultures oppose America's Declaration of Independence. Thus, although these laws were based upon legal principles, as they were unlawful in nature, they never qualified as constitutional laws. While today's laws are illegal in principle, and thus are also unlawful in nature, so they too cannot qualify as constitutional laws. This, then, is the great choice these vignettes place before you. Will you, or will you not, as a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, accept the truth that for a law of the land to be constitutional, it must be both legal and lawful? Will you do so, and thereby fulfill that which you are held accountable to fulfill by means of the Doctrine and Covenants 98, verse 6, quote, "Therefore, I, the Lord, justify you and your brethren of my church in befriending that law which is the constitutional law of the land," end quote. Will you do so under the laying down of your life and property by your befriending of said law as outlined in John 15, verse 13, quote, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends," end quote. Therefore, you see where your weakness has been, and you see how the lie has exploited it. But via these vignettes, you also see how your weakness may be turned into strength, as the garb of secrecy behind which your enemy lurks has been rent asunder. For the organized crime syndicates, who are responsible for creating the sexual and addiction cultures, are those who have the capacity to work with a new party and new religion, to join them together in common cause for the mutual financial benefit of all who adhere unto the lie. For these are they who, within their ever-maturing criminal syndicates, have gained the capacity to see and exploit the weaknesses of others via being involved in same-gender relationships. Thus, they, and they alone, have the capacity to enter into close, effective, and mutually stimulating sexual communication with those who head the new party and those who head the new religion. Thereby, guide those who are involved in bisexual relationships on how to see, via corrupted mercy, and exploit, via corrupted justice, the weaknesses of others. For within same-gender relationships, those who function in the role of the male see through the eyes of corrupted mercy the weaknesses of others. Their partner, who functions in the role of the female, sees through the eyes of corrupted justice how to exploit said weaknesses. Thus, they are able to go beyond the capacity of those who function via wife-swapping, which is the capacity to create and enforce those laws associated with ancient slavery. Go beyond the capacity of those who function via bisexual relationships, which is the capacity to create and enforce those laws associated with communism. It is also to be noted the manner by which the doctrines of slavery associated with open marriages and bisexual marriages displayed themselves. Under the former, masters had to take direct care of their slaves by providing them with food, clothing, and shelter. Under the latter, they did so indirectly via the auspices of the state. But under the doctrine of total inclusion, those who are enslaved must generate enough product and garner enough wealth whereby they can care for their own daily needs. It is also to be noted the degree to which the corruption of the traditional marriage progresses. Under ancient slavery, a husband and wife took on the guise of having a successful marriage by appearing before the general public as being happily married. Under communism, as a bisexual husband, you took on the guise of a successful marriage by functioning in company with other with other married couples within the party via wife swapping. But under the doctrine of total inclusion, in like manner as the need to care for those you have enslaved is ended, so too is the need for a male to function in company with a female. By this means, those who head the new party and those who head the new religion are rendered dependent upon those who head organized crime, else they cannot see how to establish and judiciously maintain those laws by which they can control the people of America. These then are they who, via their same-gender relationships, have the capacity to garner great wealth off all they enslave, the American people, for they do so and will continue to do so via an independent tax stream. The vast sums of money they generate by providing those products and services that addict. The grave difference being, under the doctrine of total inclusion, they will be lawfully upheld in their ability to manufacture, distribute, and sell said products. Also, the addictive products they provide will be exempt from being taxed by either the new party or new religion. I trust by the previous you recognize why under America's Declaration of Independence, the reversal of sexual identity in same-gender marriages cannot be licensed. I trust you have come to recognize the grave threat posed by the organized crime syndicates, as this is in accordance with your faith as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Ether 8, verses 24 and 25. Quote, Wherefore the Lord commandeth you, when ye shall see these things come among you, that ye shall awake to a sense of your awful situation, because of this secret combination which shall be among you, or woe be unto it, because of the blood of them who have been slain, for they cry from the dust for vengeance upon it, and also upon those who build it up. For it cometh to pass that whoso buildeth it up seeketh to overthrow the freedom of all lands, nations, and country, and it bringeth to pass the destruction of all people, for it is built up by the devil, who is the father of all lies, even that same liar who beguiled our first parents, yea, even that same liar who hath caused man to commit murder from the beginning, who hath hardened the hearts of men, that they have murdered the prophets, and stoned them, and cast them out from the beginning. End quote. On this note, I leave you with my testimony, as I solemnly testify to the previous being the truth, and do so in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.